Welcome to Holding Space with Authentically Amy. This is a place where you don't have to perform, prove, or hold it all together. You're allowed to exhale, to feel, to speak, or just be. Here, your truth is safe, your emotions are honored, and your soul is gently invited to the surface. I'm not here to fix you because I don't believe you're broken. I believe your soul already knows the way. My role isn't to give you advice, but to hold a steady frequency of love so you have space to rise. This podcast is an extension of my own healing. If you're here, you belong, and I'm honored to sit beside you. Welcome back to Holding Space with Authentically Amy. I am so honored to have my friend and guest, Dr. Helmut Love, with me today. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to have you.
You know what? I'm honored to be here. I'm excited because I love your energy. I love the point and purpose of your work. And I'm just excited to be a part of what you're creating with you and your audience. So thank you so much.
Oh, your name is Dr. Love for a reason. I just love you so much. Like you
I
can't.
love you too. uh, I always say love is the name of the creator of the universe, right? It is the spirit in which we were wrought and the spirit for which we're destined to. So,
That's so beautiful. I think if more people saw it that way, man, how the world would change, right?
right? Absolutely. Absolutely. But love feels soft. Love feels soft. So we get to talk about responsibility and duty, right? As sort of the not so soft parts of love, which are very important too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's jump in here. I want to start by asking the question that I pose to all of my guests, that is there something heavy on your heart today that it might help to talk about?
Um, yes, it's something that in my work, both corporate work, but also political work, also parenting work, um, it sits heavy on my heart, and it hits heavy on my heart because um, I don't see us taking responsibility for it as a collective. And what's heavy on my heart is the division in the world that we're experiencing, that we're seeing. Um, the I almost feel like it's the devolving that we're witnessing of human behavior and the selfishness, the me, them, us. Um, yeah, that aspect that I see so prolific in media, in politics, in business, in neighborhoods, in churches, right?
Oh,
And so I would love to talk about that. That to me is something that it's an underwriting sort of feeling that I try to avoid feeling, but I feel like it is something that's so prolific in everything we're looking at.
I love that term that you just used, devolving. Is that something I think you made that up? Like, I like that. I don't know if that's a real word, but I love it. It's like it fits so perfectly because it, and it's exactly what you talked about at the beginning. Like, love is the answer. I firmly believe that love is the answer for all of the things, everything that's happening that we're struggling with as humanity. Love is the answer. But we so struggle. We so have a hard time wrapping our brains around that because maybe we don't understand what it really means. I mean, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I do. I think that there is a masculine and a feminine energy to love, right? So the challenge with the word love, I think, is that we often lean into its femininity, right? The unconditionalness, the embracingness, the let's all come together. And that is too soft sometimes. Sometimes it is the essence of love, but love is both duty and devotion, right? And so the duty part, the responsibility part, has edges, meaning it has discipline, it has structure, it has, you need to put in the effort. You need to put in the work, right? So we kind of talk about in spiritual realms, we talk about sort of our being and our doing, right? And these are two really essential elements to our leadership, to our society, to you as an individual, right? As you and me both just showing up, making a podcast work, we need to be loving and engaging, but we also need to do things like be on time and find salient words and take responsibility for what we're doing. And I think that we are in a time where everyone really likes to abdicate responsibility. It's all because of someone else. It's all because someone else is creating this, right? I am a victim of the economy. I am a victim of my society. I am a victim of my family. I am a victim of my, ex, whatever the victimhood is. Um, that's part of the devolving, right?
Yeah.
Is if everyone else is to blame and I'm not, how are we functioning as a society? And that's not loving. It's not loving to not take responsibility. It's not loving to not be dutiful. And I think that's a part of love that it doesn't feel great because we don't like it. It's not like soft and it's not that mama energy, but it's
Yeah.
super important. It's that loving dad energy that says, "Hey, you're responsible here, and you got to move forward."
I am just sitting here trying to wrap my brain around this. You and I have talked about this, but it hit me different right now. The
Yeah.
masculine and the feminine energy when it comes to love. Like I have thought about masculine and feminine energies in other areas of my life, but never when it comes to love. Like I have thought about it in a relationship with another person, but not in general in the world. And my brain's exploding a little bit right now to think
Well,
about responsibility as love. It's so true.
yeah, it truly is. And the thing is, we talk about, men in our country and in our world, are struggling through a lot of mental health challenges and, purpose challenges. Because we have seen that as the feminine is shifted, which is great, right? The masculine gets to shift as well. And that balance, it's important that it's a balanced energy, right, in the world. And so we're seeing this sort of division, which is really not responsible. It's not responsible.
Yeah.
We're all one people. And I know we have some differences as to how to get there, but I struggle with the abdication everyone has with the we them, right? It's easy to blame things on your neighbor, but your neighbor is you. So
Yeah.
it's really like the reality is we are creating this life game. We have created a set of rules. We have decided together, right? The kinds of people we'll elect, the types of rules we will tolerate. Um, and it's gets way more uncomfortable if you own a 401k and you're not okay with the way the world's working. But if you're cashing in that little increase as an example, just as an example, we're all gaining money from a system that we often says it's profit over people. Well, we have created that system. What are we going to do about it collectively, right?
Yeah, and I would love for you to address a little bit more of that. Like this is an issue that definitely needs to be addressed, but I think it starts like everything else with awareness that my mind exploded because I had never seen love the way you just explained it. So,
Sure.
do you have an idea of how we go about? I know you have a plan of how we go about spreading this and helping other people to see it the way that you just explained it.
Well, I'll say a couple things. First off, I think the most important thing for you, for me, for anyone who's listening or watching, is to first understand how important you are. Um, I, I don't like, I love God, but I don't like the word God because so many in religions have hurt that word. So I use the word love. You are a child of love. You have a a beingness to you, an element to you that you know you're really important and special, and you are. We all are. The reality is everyone has this light inside them, and oftentimes that light has been darkened by the world, by the things you don't even aware, the things you believe since your mom and dad start telling you. All the world has told you lots of things, and that light gets darkened. But the truth is, you're light. You're light and love.
Yes. Yes.
And that spiritual aspect, there's something greater to you, and you know it deep down inside. And I think that before like we get into all the division, I think it's super important for your listeners to know that their light and their love for themselves is critical to the greater solution. And the reason I say that is the things that we reflect inside of ourselves is what we reflect outside.
Yes.
So I think the division in the world, what I wish so badly to do, it's like to embrace every person and say, you know what, you're loved and you mattered and you're on our team. We're all on one team.
Right.
But but the person has to believe that. You
Yeah.
as a listener, right? You have to really believe that you have an eternal aspect to you, a beautiful, amazingly spiritual element to who you are. And that awakening, that realization that you are a being just like Amy, just like me, in this physical world, but that we have a purpose, and we have a calling, and we have something to do while we're here. That already is shattering, right? Because it just takes you out of this. I'm just in a physical world doing something that I'm just a being of science, and I'm just an artifact of some non um, non-conscious being, right? If you believe that, it's okay that you do. I love you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even you would agree that love is the answer at the end of the day. So I think that people waking up to the fact that regardless of our ancestors all having different faiths, whether it's Hindu or Christian or Muslim, the earth has had for millions of years, sorry, millions of years, millions of bodies, millions of lives, all these different faiths. The point is that they all had something spiritual about them. And I think that this age is calling for everyone to first wake up to the fact that you're really a spiritual being, and an earthly being, both.
Yeah.
And I think that awakening, that sort of consciousness, awareness is the very first step. So I'd say that probably, Amy, is the first thing I think a lot about. I think about as I walk along in the street, who's asleep, who's awake.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that so much. There's so many rabbit trails I could take off of that. But I feel like we're all saying the same thing, just using different words. We all are believing in the same entity, the same higher power. We're just calling it different things. And I love that you brought out that we are spiritual beings. I was at the gym yesterday and I had an experience. I won't share the whole story because I recorded a video to share on my socials about it, but it was a really cool experience. And I ended up coming to the realization that I am a living, breathing, walking spark to help ignite the light in others. That's part of my role is to help them polish the mirror is my thing is to help mirror and help them see the light in themselves and I can be that spark. I just said something kind to someone and it impacted her so deeply it caused her to cry because she needed to hear it. I didn't know she needed to hear it. I just listened to my intuition and I thought, "Oh, I need to share this with her." And I did, and it impacted her in a way that she began to cry and it started igniting that spark within her. And I think it's really it can be simple. It can start very simple just like that example.
Absolutely. And the reality is if you know that you're someone who's awake, then you're aware that you want to wake others up, right? And kind of back to the love concept, I happen to be a Christian, but I also believe in a I believe that Father God knows and is very aware of every other spiritual path, right? I feel like this is kind of again goes back to the concept of father and love, where it's like, listen, I have created these other paths. They've existed all this time. I love all my children. You didn't get the point. They all point to me. They all
Yeah.
point to me, the Father, right?
Yeah.
Which is I call God the one love that created you, the one love that created all your faiths, and the one love that will receive you when you're done with life's journey. And I think that if we can focus on the Father, we find our unity, if that makes sense. Um, and so that's the first part. I kind of have four keys that I speak to, and the first part is spirituality. We get to embrace spirituality. When you wake up, you get to embrace spirituality, a loving spirituality, whatever it is. Like, I am totally cool if you are a loving Muslim, if you are
Right.
a loving scientist, right?
Yes. Yes.
Are you on the love train, right? Are you on the we're all one train?
Yes.
If you're on the one love train, we good. If
Yeah.
you're on the just my way, really? Just your way? Not quite as loving. Now, I do think there may be things about your way that I can be enlightened by. That's being open to the fact that love can speak to us through different, if you will, different colors in the rainbow. And the message might be by learning across the rainbow. But but your love, your faith isn't loving if it tells me to hate others. It
Right.
just isn't.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
that's the first key is spirituality. Mhm.
Do you want to go ahead and share more about your keys?
Sure,
Yeah. All right.
sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The second really important thing for us to shift forward with the division we have in the world is is heroic masculinity. Like the reality and the truth is, men have in us an inherent desire to lead and to create something significant, and so do women. But men have kind of lost a bearing on a purpose, and our purpose is still the same purpose, guys. um, it's to be heroic, and to be heroic is to first have dominion over your own body, right? So many of us are sold out to sexual slavery, substance slavery, greed slavery. Like there are so many men who have um, lost discipline over themselves. So you have to have mastery of self. And the second piece of that is protecting women. Like that is an important part and aspect to being a heroic man, whether that's a widow, whether that's children, whether that's your own wife or mother or aunt. Um, the reason we've come so far is because heroic men protected women. And that gets to continue to be, you get to real like wake up, y'all. Just to be clear, there's
That
a
just gave me
lot of the
chills. I just
world.
have to say, that just gave me
Yeah,
chills. That line, that's so powerful. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but there's so like I want everyone to be aware there are so many parts of the world that are not embracing of the feminine.
Mhm.
There are so many places in the world where women are still brutally enslaved, and the female mind is not regarded well, and she is not allowed to own, or she's not allowed to speak, and she's not allowed to influence. And the truth is, when you balance the male and the female, you get prosperity, you get evolution, you get balance. It's divine. And I think that we get to keep being heroic as men. And I think that's really important as we think about this next phase and the division in the world. They're trying to divide us even on gender, like, oh, well, the strong women are on this side, and the strong men are no, there's strong men and women on both sides, right?
Yes.
And men get to be heroes, and they get to stand up and they get to be great fathers. The father energy is super important. And I want men to know how important their place is in this evolution, right? And this healing of our division. Um, the third key is elevated morality. So there's three aspects I believe this shows up, but I want to kind of like give you all a concept of what I mean by that. So A good example might be, when Jesus said the words that it was wrong to not just to lay with your neighbor's wife, right, but to lust after her. So he moved things from an action to sort of, the intention, right, of the heart.
Hmm.
But today, we'll enslave people for their lusts and desires, right? We have no problem running a business where I encourage people to gamble and they lose all their money. I have no problem running a business where I'm selling you a bunch of porn and, millions of men are enslaved to that visual. I have no problem selling a social media app that pulls you out of your life and spends, tons of hours on addictive video games or whatever. Like we as humans get to realize that for us to take the next step, we have to go beyond our own lusts and think about our neighbors. Am I doing to my neighbor what I would do to myself? Right? It's the old golden rule, but it's taking it up a level. And that's in everything from our religions. If you're saying another religion can't exist and they're evil, that's wrong of you. You're not loving. Like that's the level we got to go to with our morality. Tech, people are building tech. Listen, if you're not thinking about the consequences of the AI that you're building and you're not responsibly doing so,
Hmm.
that's immoral,
Yeah.
right? If you're creating media that brings people to their lowest form, is that helpful? If you're dividing people with your media, if you're creating hatred,
Mm.
like we no longer, we're so scared of judging, and I understand that, right? That we're not discerning, right? And no loving father energy
Yeah.
isn't discerning. Hey, sweetheart, hey, son, this over here, it's not good for you.
Hmm.
You can do it, but we've got some ways for you to help yourself out of that, right? Like we aren't thinking responsibly as a society about the morality of things. And I don't mean it like judging. I mean it like supporting people through their actual worst issues.
Mm.
Um, and we need to up our game. We get to up our game. We can.
Yeah,
Why
it's
would,
more about love. Yeah.
yeah. And then think about it, like I always go back to TPs. If we lived in TPs, right, and you were struggling with a gambling problem, Amy, and I knew it because there's only 40 other TPs in our, I would be really invested in helping you, supporting you. Maybe I wouldn't gamble with you, right? Maybe
Yeah.
I'd know who you were and I'd support you through that. And today, in today's world, we allow anonymity to sort of be the thing and we just let people's lives ruin, kind of looking at them going, oh, well, you chose poorly, but
Mhm.
we haven't helped one another. And that's a level of morality that we need to reinvigorate.
Yes. Yeah, it is so powerful. I keep saying, while we do have mental health issues, that I don't think we have a mental health problem. I think we have a presence problem. I think the problem is really presence, that we're not giving each other enough presence to be able to
Mhm.
heal and be able to experience the love that is meant for us. And so I think the what you're saying, is just being present with each other, allowing, holding space, giving each other presence to be who we are and to work together to heal, to go in the direction that we're supposed to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm ensuring, I mean, part of that is ensuring that there are mechanisms for people to get to presence, right? So if you think about it, I'm not going to come on here and say that, to gamble is immoral. I'm not going to say that because, it can be healthy, it can be fun, it can be something you enjoy, but you having control and mastery of that is super important, right? So having a way for people who are struggling with that to get to presence, to
Mhm.
get more quickly to support, to get to be able to say, "Hey, I'm struggling." Right? And us embrace them and help them and support them, that's super important. Um,
That
yeah.
that means we have to see beyond ourselves, though. And I think that's one of the issues is that we are not able to see beyond ourselves. We have so much going on in our own lives that we don't take the time, we aren't able to see beyond ourselves to see, truly see what other people are going through.
Yeah, and to think about it, what I covered, spirituality, heroic masculinity, and elevated morality, all of them are about me and someone else, me and others, me and spirit, me and one another. So you're right. Like we're focused on the me and not the we. which is the division, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I see that, but I also see, I push self-discovery pretty heavily that we have to focus on ourselves to understand ourselves, but we do that in order to be able to help other people. Like that's not the end game. The end game is not to just self-discover who we are. It's so that we can extend love and help other people as a result. And I think people miss that a lot.
Yeah, they do. And I will say that I feel like they are um, connected. So if you're someone who is on the path of self-discovery, and you should, right, as you're realizing different barriers in you, what you do realize is as you break a barrier, there's usually a practical way to apply that or extend it to others to either amplify it or grow it. So I'll use the example. Let's say that you heal from a parent. Let's say that you realize that, you know what, my dad or my mom this, and I'm now forgiving that aspect and I'm breaking through that barrier. Well, looping back to the parent, right? Or life will bring you types of your parent, right? So you'll meet another woman who is similar to maybe an issue your mom gave you, or you'll meet a dad, or you meet someone who was just abandoned by their father and your father abandoned. Whatever it is, you will find that energetically you'll find opportunities to basically use what you just healed in yourself outside yourself. And that's the whole part about breaking a box inside you breaks the box outside you.
Mhm.
So I completely agree, Amy. They unless you do the one outside you, it doesn't. It's like it solidifies what's inside.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like we are in silos. Like we are, everybody's in their own little silo, walking around in this little silo in this little box, yeah, with blinders on, just choosing not or not knowing how to see beyond it. And so it's really, really is powerful to be able to
And
do
it's
that.
and it's such an important time. To your point, like we see all this division, but the worst part is that we are the most evolved we've ever been on the planet. We have the most information, we have the most generational curse breaking, we have the most personal development. Like people, the opportunity is there, right? The division is working against it. And my hope, my belief is that if we can just bring it together, it would hyper drive humanity. And we're almost screaming for it, whether it was the recent events with Charlie Kirk, where you saw the same individual, two completely different views of the individual were
Right.
created in social media, two
Right.
completely different personas, such that people's reactions were entirely different. It's one person,
Yeah.
it's one person, right? But
Yeah.
we had created this monstrous dichotomy of the same human.
Yeah, talking about the division, I have heard people say before, like it's so big and it's so massive. I don't know what to do about it. How, at me as one person, how can I make a difference? And we just shared how we as individuals can make a difference. So if you're watching or listening, you can make it. We can make a difference as individuals when we work on ourselves and then we come together to use that to help humanity.
And I would also echo with that a big part of it is it's the awakening to the fact that it's not true. Meaning, um, there's this huge, massive gap. So I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, there's this big gap, and it's black and white, and it's male and female, and it's Christian and gay. Like I'm using some like just terms that people might throw on division. And I'm
Sure.
like, listen, I live in a city where black and white hold hands, right? Where men and women are very equally represented in our city and in our state. Some in different areas, and that's okay, the areas that they, desire. But we're very peaceful in Georgia. There's a
Mhm.
lot of love that I actually see in the park or on the street. I happen to be a gay Christian, so what's that, right? Like obviously it's possible.
Right?
So my point in all of that is that there is more unity than we are being told there is. There is more. And so you got to lean into that and to your point, bridge the gap that you feel in a room that hasn't been created through truth. It's been created through lies,
Mhm.
right? The reality is we're closer together. It's just that people aren't aware. They've bought into this. They're bought into this and not this, right?
Yes. Yeah. My youngest son is 15, and I can't remember if I shared this with you, but I'll share it with our, excuse me, viewers and listeners. He said recently, Mom, I think I woke up. And I said, What do you mean? He said, I think I'm awake. I see things differently. I see the world differently. And he gave this example of, I can't remember what the situation was, but he said, I had this random thought that I needed to do something and I did it and it turned out really well. And he said, that hasn't happened. So does that mean I'm awake? So it's like the youth. It's starting younger. Like they're wanting to explore this. They're hearing us talk about it and they're wanting to explore it, but they aren't sure what it is. So they also need our help to help educate them and teach them and show them that it's safe, that this is a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I believe that we are both energies exist. So, we talk about the duality of life. There is, yin, yang, male, female, good, bad, all that stuff. Earth and spirit both coexist in us as humans, right? We're like spiritual beings, earthly bodies. So it's hard because I think for some people, the perception, like your son being awake, right, kind of goes like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Right? Um, and the reality is, it's also just as practical as it is spiritual, right? So your son being awake and going, oh, I have a way I can love someone, and him going out and loving them, doing something, right, in this earthly realm to be kind and loving generates goodness, right? And I think that the youth is more aware that, like, y'all, this isn't a money game.
Yes.
Right? They find more joy in the, oh my gosh, I just got to spend some time lovingly, whatever, dancing, spending time with music, things that you and I probably take for granted because we had a childhood full of running around the neighborhood and being carefree, things that they don't get anymore the same way.
Yeah. Waiting for the street lights to come on because you knew that was what time to go home when the street lamps came on, you
I
know.
know what an amazing time that was. And, I want that again,
Hmm.
which means that the other part of that was, families got to eat dinner together. I'm not saying all the time, but that was the ideal, and that's what we were striving for. And it was doable, right? The society we lived in curated things so that it was doable. Women wanted to have their children, right? More often than not.
Yeah.
Um, the last key that I talk about is wealth sharing. So our wealth gap has become unsustainable, and it's not going to work for our children's generation if that's a norm. So we have to get really curious about how we can shift our systems in society so that we share wealth with one another.
Hmm.
And really, this kind of goes to the ultimate of, if you're uh, in the Bible, it speaks to, God says not to worry because He provides um, for the lily in the field, for the bird of the air, right?
Right.
Well, in our world, if humans are going to take over the systems, we have to reflect God in our design of the systems. So we have to make sure that there's plenty of fish for all the fishermen and women to catch, right? There has to be plenty of opportunity. And this is a responsibility
Right.
that the nobility has, that the highest ranking and wealthiest people have. I don't think I have no problem. I don't personally with having a wealthy class. I don't at all. I'm glad because God has put them in those places. But I expect them to be loving and to take care of all the others. It's their duty and their devotion to us. And this is the era for them to shift and make that plain, because that's how it's all going to work. If they're able to do that for us, and we are able to bless those that do with our dollars, right? Then it'll work out. So everything is solvable right now. The division is solvable. The funny money is solvable. The morality is solvable, right? The love of men and women balanced is solvable. These are all solvable. We just have to will it so, see that there's a pathway, and then do what you can do in your world to pursue those ends, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. So powerful. And I know that you're doing a lot in your world to help do that, to help solve that. And excuse me, I want to make sure we have enough time for you to share more about what you do, how people can reach you, what you want them to know about maybe how you can help them, and what you're doing in the world to make this happen.
Sure. So first of all, I want to just say thank you already for this dialogue. I realize in talking about the division of the world and the solutions that I laid out, it's encouraging because it makes me think, you know what, this is all solvable, and it actually is.
Yes.
Just have to be willing to wrap our minds around what we got to do and then go do it, right? I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to talk about four things really quick because
Okay,
they're fun.
go
So
for it.
first of all, I wrote a book, Wake Up to Your Life Magic, wakeuptoyourlifemagic.com. And that book is about, it goes through this spiritual awakening. And it goes through the four different areas I've talked about it. It's more extensive. It's a transformation book, but that's a good place for people to start if they want to connect. Um, the second thing is more just informative. If you're a person that likes to give, to nonprofit endeavors, I created a nonprofit called the Gaily Impact, Gayly, gailyimpact.org. And it really focuses, it's from the gay community to all community. And it's focused on not just financial literacy, but redistributing wealth through gamed entrepreneurship. So I believe that wealth distribution is possible and super important in our future world, but it must be done through ways of elevating the consciousness and ensuring that the person who does the work gets the reward.
Yes.
Um, so that's a great thing for you to look into. My day job, I at drhelmutlove.com, I specialize in corporate leadership and any business leadership, focus on bringing spiritual concepts back into work to unify people. I look at leadership. I look at it through a scale, a measured scale, showing people what they don't want to see about their leadership, so they can break through the things like we think as executives. Oh, I don't need to hold space, Amy. Oh,
Right.
not true.
Yeah,
They often
exactly.
really need to hold space. They're
Yes.
often working through childhood traumas and issues through their excellence at work. So that's where I focus a lot of my time, where I'm really looking at, um, you know, our push was diversity, and now I'm looking at harmony. Like, how do you harmonize all that diversity and really bring out the diversity in spirituality and purpose at work? That's really, really important that we're doing purposeful things, whether you're working at Exxon or whether you're working at your local grocery. Um, and the last thing is I'm running for mayor of Atlanta. Running for
Woohoo!
mayor of Atlanta, yes. Running for running to try to bring light to these same concepts in the political arena. So yeah, but nothing too much going on, but
Right.
actually a lot going on, and so thankful for it.
And you're a dad. You have some
I
dad.
am. I
Yeah.
am. I'm a dad. I have three daughters, 22, 19, and 16, and very much all in different phases of life. And, a blessing and also a mirror for me as to what's going on in the world and where it needs support. So very grateful that my life story gave me those three gifts as tethers to understanding the next generation and really being able to be a tribe leader. I didn't realize how important children are to developing your leadership, but it really kind of has helped me understand life a lot better, and that makes me a better business person and a better leader in politics too.
Oh, absolutely. When I taught, I used to be an educator. We could learn so much from our youth and from children. Like they're so knowledgeable about things that because they don't have the layer of stress and responsibility and all the things that we have, they see things more clearly. And I feel like we can learn so much from them if we will allow ourselves to. And that's what you're allowing yourself to do. And it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so interesting because there's some things that you're like, and again, it's discernment, right, Amy?
Right.
There's some things where youth goes, oh, and you're like, you know what? Yes, and
Yes,
this.
totally get that.
And this. Yeah. One of my daughters was kind of teasing about not having children, and I was like, hey, let's have that conversation. She can choose to, that's fine. But do you know what you'd be foregoing? Do you know those things too? And have you balanced them in the equation? Um, yeah, so it's an interesting ride as a dad for sure.
Yeah, you just got so much going on. Your heart is just so big to help people and to spread love in the world. And you just shine. Like every time I see you, I'm like, you're just shining because you're just so full of love to do what's best for the world with no judgment, no agenda, just love. And that's rare. That is so rare. You don't find that. And so I'm just so grateful to know you and to call you my friend and to have you on here and
Oh,
have a conversation with you.
thank you. You know what? I will say, I do have an agenda, and it is love, to your point. But it's
Right.
what we don't embrace that is an agenda worth dying for. That's an agenda worth living for, right? It is the agenda. It's what our ancestors all died for, sacrificed for. And I think that like I say, because it's got the love, it feels soft, but
Yeah.
it's responsible and it's dutiful and it is what the world needs. So I want more people on fire for love, on fire for being dutiful and devoted to one another. We need that right now more than ever because we're almost there, Amy. I don't know if you're listeners or if you're listening still, just know this. We're almost there. Like we have come so far.
Mhm.
If you think about the beginning of history and where men and women lived in caves and killed each other with rocks and took each other's partners and, I mean, all kinds of horrors that
Right.
have existed and still exist, we've come so far. We owe it to ourselves to finish this last mile. And I think the division in the world is only an indication that we're almost there.
Mhm.
We're almost there, and we're going to have to push through this to get there, but we're almost there. And that maybe gives someone encouragement in your own life. Like your story really matters. Back
Yes.
to the very beginning, right? And I know Amy and I both want you to excel, and we're here to hold space.
Yes. Yes. I love that perspective. It is our responsibility. Like talking about love. I love that you helped us see a different side of love and that it is what part of our responsibility. And, just like the saying that it is darkest right before the dawn, right before we reach that crest. It's so dark. And the hardest times that we have to continue to push through and not give up will be worth it. It will be worth it. I can guarantee us it will be worth it.
It will be. And you know what's so interesting about it? I'm going to ask your your listeners the question I love to ask, which is, do you believe in love? Do
Mm.
you believe whatever your faith is? Do you believe that our source is loving and that you are going to have a more loving future? Because it was the belief of our ancestors in all their various faiths. They believed in something that made them give. They believed in something that made them sacrifice. They believed in something that made them honor themselves greater than their worst version of themselves. And we say we believe in love, but we don't actually demonstrate it with our actions and our minds and our being. So you're right. It's like the darkness is asking us the biggest, most spiritual, human, moral, connected question. Do you believe in love? Because if you do, you believe that there's a dawn.
Mm.
And there is. It's been prepared for us. There is a dawn.
Mm. Wow, that needs a moment of silence, just a pause there, let that sink in. It's so true.
And
So
it is true. And it's so,
true.
I feel like Father God is like, hey, remember me? I've got you. I've got you. There's nothing about this division that I did not foresee. There's nothing about this world and the struggle inside you that I did not know, right? Every generation has had to go through something. You think you're unique? You're just going through a different version than your ancestors did. But I got you. I got you. And I think we think that love will leave us, and love has always been with us. And we just have to believe it.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So good. My heart, you just touched my heart so, so deeply. I hope those of you who are watching and listening enjoyed this as much as I have. I will be sure and put all of the links, all of Dr. Love's links in the show notes so that you can reach him easily. And I do want to be respectful of your time. I am so grateful that you chose to spend this time with us today and share your heart and your love with this. Is there anything that you would like to share before we wrap up here?
Not at all. I just want to say thank you so much, Amy. I really appreciate this space. I appreciate your work, and I wish you continued blessings and success as you share your light and love with the world.
Thank you so much. We're in this together, right? We're in this together,
100%.
right? In
Yeah.
this together,
Yes, until death do us part, and we may still be in it together after that.
right?
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
My understanding, I think that we are. So let's
Yeah.
just yeah, let's step into it and make it a good journey.
Yes, yes. Well, those of you watching and listening, thank you so much for being here, for tagging along, and for listening. Please share this to help get this message out to the world so that we can come together in a more powerful way. And until next time, I will be here holding space for you.
Thank you for being here. And to my guest, thank you for your honesty, your courage, and your truth. It's an honor to hold space for people like you. If something in this episode stirred something in you, if you breathed deeper, softened, or felt a pull inward, consider this your invitation. Whether you're ready to share publicly or prefer to remain anonymous, I'd love to hold space for you too. This work isn't just for podcasts, it's for people everywhere. And I'm bringing it into businesses, schools, communities, organizations, anywhere humans need a place to be and for someone to hold space for them. To learn more or to schedule your own session or to be a guest on this podcast, visit www.getamyshelp.com or just reach out to me. I'll meet you with open arms and a quiet, sacred seat. Until next time, thank you for being beautifully, unapologetically human.